Thanks for watching America Live. This is the third episode on the current wave of Chinese exclusion legislation over half of America's states. The subject deserves more attention. Previously, I spoke with the three community leaders from Louisiana, New Jersey, and Iowa. We reviewed what's happening and the impact. I then chatted with Wess Miller from Texas to look into the forces driving such bills in state houses. Today, we're very glad to have Vincent Wang from Ohio and Wess Miller again, of course. They have been working together on the front line. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you both so much for coming and for what you have been doing.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me again, and thanks for inviting Vincent.
We have covered much of the ground previously, some basics. Now let's brainstorm to explore a little bit further, shall we? So Vincent, I watched your interview on Can News days ago. What you have led to accomplish in Ohio and wider is truly impressive and inspiring. Please tell us about yourself and some of the monumental civil rights work you have done. I particularly wonder, I'm curious, what's in your educational and career background that makes you an effective, strong leader in organizing all these activities, all these actions, and navigating through such complex legislative processes?
Sure, good question. So I grew up in China, mainland China, in college and grad school in China, computer science by training. Then working in China for a few years, then came to the US in 2002 for my business degree. So I kind of pivoted from my career perspective. I went on to be a consultant for state government, Fortune 500 companies. Currently, I'm working for another Fortune 500 company, telecom industry. So a lot of work I do was helping bridging the gap between like business people, technology people, and also help putting people from different backgrounds, departments together to work on a common set of goals. So I do a lot of project management and also obviously talking about the technology language with business people or vice versa. So I kind of enjoy talking to different people from different backgrounds and I try to put things in order, having a common goal, put together a project plan. So that can help me in terms of managing all the community grassroots efforts, in terms of organizing community members to speak up against like something like alien land bills in Ohio and nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of inspired by a lot of community leaders when I first came to the US, and also especially when I started taking my kids to local Chinese school. So I figure I think our community need more people to rise up to really first raise our voices and also empower each other. So first started back in 2016 when we organized a like North America wide rally to support a New York police officer, Peter Liang, about the injustice he was enduring. Ever since that time, I kind of was actively engaged in community service and civic engagement and also civil rights. So that's my kind of trajectory in terms of community service. So I found the compassion and also ability to communicate and the willingness to bring people from different backgrounds together. That really helped me to really rally people from different parts of the community to really speak up and raise voice for our community.
Vincent from Ohio, based in Ohio, co-founded and serves as the current chair of Ohio Chinese American Association and chair of Asian American Coalition of Ohio. And he's a co-organizer of APA Justice Task Force. He's also a board member of Civic Leadership USA. he led support for Chinese-American scientist Sherry Chen for her appeal of the wrongful termination by the Department of Commerce, Trump 1, which a federal judge ruled as a gross injustice. The U.S. Senate issued a landmark investigation report in July 2021, revealing systematic abuse of power and racial profiling at the department. In 2021 again, Vincent spearheaded efforts by over 60 AAPI organizations in Ohio to engage with Ohio Governor DeWine's office to reinstate the Ohio AAPI Advisory Council. Great. And last fall, he was inducted into Ohio's Civil Rights Hall of Fame for his leadership in advancing Asian American rights, including helping end the controversial China Initiative by Trump administration, Trump 1, and defending immigrant communities against discriminatory legislation, Ohio House Bills HB 1 and SB 88.
Yep.
Wess, Ohio is your home state, and you go there quite often lately, and you have invested much time there. It's a swing state and a sizable, reasonably sizable battleground state. It used to be a presidential bellwether, voting with the national winner in every election from 1960 on for over half a century. So how do you compare Ohio to other states in this battle?
That's a great question. I would have agreed with you about 10 years ago that Ohio was a swing state. It is now a red state with a Republican supermajority in both chambers, Republican governor, and it seems that Ohio is in many ways trying to copy Florida and Texas.
And the Vice President J.D. Vance is from Ohio too.
Yeah, he's from Ohio. That's true. So
he's very pro-MAGA.
Very pro-MAGA. And I just wanted to say one thing about Vincent, and you mentioned at the last part that in 2015 he was inducted into the Ohio Civil Rights Hall of Fame alongside names like Jesse Owens and the Tuskegee Airmen, the branch from Ohio. To me, that's remarkable. If you watch Vincent's induction acceptance speech, the entire speech was thanking everybody else and not taking credit for himself. That to me is the difference between the Ohio grassroots movement and that in other states. The reason I know that Ohio has been so successful in their stalling for now these anti-Asian legislations is because the Ohio grassroots group understands it's more than just about reactive actions to when the bills come out. This is a year-round effort, and I don't know anybody that's more that's better suited to speak to this than Vincent, who, it's about community building. It's about community education. It's about coalition building outside of just the Asian American community to all marginalized communities. That is what they are doing very well in Ohio, and it's proven to be successful here.
It takes more than a big heart. It's dogged year in, year out. It's skills. It's a methodology. Exactly what I want to hear. So Let's cut to the chase. It seems that the more I listen to you and others, the more it all seems to be a chasing shadow, a witch hunt, not a sensible, pragmatic answer to an adequately defined problem, these bills. It makes people wonder what's happened to innocent until proven guilty. It's more like rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go free. Okay, a notion not heard in America till now. And it was many Chinese would smile when I say 宁杀错一千不放过一个. So there clearly is political expediency in this thing too. Oliver Ma sees Republicans and Democrats together on this, namely to counter communist Chinese takeover of our land. Doing what you are doing, you sure want to hear more political figures speak out at state and federal levels. What do you hear Democratic lawmakers say, Wess?
What do I hear the Democrats say specifically,
yes.
or the?
Last time we spoke, you mentioned you spoke with the Republicans, and most of them expressed doubts, hesitation about these bills, and see major flaws and holes. But I wonder, what do Democrats say now?
Well, I've yet to in all the states that I've talked with legislators in Texas, Ohio, a couple others. I've yet to find a Democrat that supports similar legislation in any of the states. So, from the Democrat perspective, at least those with whom I have spoken, and Vincent would probably agree, it's been absolutely, this is unconstitutional, this is discriminatory, this cannot happen.
So the passage typically is along party lines?
Yes, absolutely. And when a lot of these states, as you well know, have supermajorities, there's not a lot that the Democrats can do.
So they get passed because of the supermajority, often in red states. That's the main reason.
Yes, that's definitely the reason that these are passing in states. You'll note that in states that are blue or have a supermajority the other way, or even slightly leaning blue, these measures are not even making its way to the docket.
Okay, what about swing states?
Well, I don't know of too many swing states anymore, at least by the conventional definition of old. But I guess those that are closer to the middle, it's what would that be? Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Michigan.
Uh-huh.
I'm unaware of any legislation in those states that's similar to this. I could be wrong, but I can tell you in the states where it is passing, there are Republican supermajorities.
Okay. So do Democrats listen better, Vincent? Like, how are you getting support? Do they speak up?
I kind of agree with Wess, and in general, nationwide, the community of 100, they have a database tracking all the alien land bills or alien land laws. So over 34 states have introduced similar bills. So I think, to my knowledge, a majority of those states are red states. So Republicans are driving those bills. They introduce those bills. They tend to have majority in state assemblies. So as far as Ohio is concerned, Ohio is right now temporarily they have the Republican trifecta. They have governorship, state senate, and the state house as well. So in general, in Ohio, Republican members, they tend to lean in supporting such bills, House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. Democratic members, in general, they object these bills. When House Bill 1 was introduced last year, there were a couple Democratic members that were co-sponsor of the bills. As soon as we reach out to them, we told them about the harmful impact of this bill when they understand the substance behind the title of the bill. They switch their sponsorship. So I think that is the trickiness of this bill. So they use a very deceiving title. For example, in Ohio, they call it Enact Foreign Property Law Act. So in the subtitle under the highlights, it says it is for national security. A lot of assembly members, they are very busy. They also work on their own bills and so forth. When they read these headlines, the high-level summaries, they cannot understand what's the meaning of it. They tend to take it surface value, support or not to support. So that's why there's a lot of outreach necessary to educate the legislators themselves, even some of the co-sponsors. So I think overall, I think both parties, there are members that are kind of willing to talk to us. In general, I felt like the Democratic members are more willing to engage with our community members because Wess and I, we work in the past 2 years on this, and we did a lot of outreach to both parties. In general, we found it's easier to obtain meeting times with Democratic members. And obviously, there are a lot of Republican members who are willing to listen as well. Definitely, both parties, we need to do a lot of outreach.
Thank you. So sounds like almost like a one-sided MAGA thing, mostly. What about the courts? What about the judges? Do red states mostly have MAGA, pro-MAGA judges as well? Are there lawsuits? What's going on in the courtroom?
In the courts, so far, from this legislation standpoint, we have not engaged with the court too much yet. Right now, it's still being discussed in the legislation. My observation is that the courts are, in general, they are a little bit much more balanced than the party and organizations in the state assembly.
So this hinges on the constitutionality of these bills, and of course, the courts are going to have something to say about that. Those bills, as you both have pointed out, tend to be not carefully thought out, not methodically deliberated, and not openly, thoroughly debated as pragmatic solutions to real problems on the ground that those states were struggling with. And the text and the rationale tend to be too crude and vague to be executable. There's much symbolic posturing, I sense, perhaps cheap shots to score election campaign points. Wess, you have spoken to legislators in different states. When they assert the necessity and urgency to fight the CCP on US soil, what actual threats, specific threats, do they cite? If little or nothing real, what are they striking at? Is there a gray zone here they are playing with?
Well, James, it's the rhetoric that's being thrown around is candidly all over the board. It's kind of let's throw it up and see if it sticks. Let me give you an example. At the March 17th House Bill 1 fourth testimony.
That's when you attended, right? And you testified.
Yes, I attended that, as did Vincent and 102 others who opposed the House Bill 1, which this was in front of the House Public Safety Committee in Columbus, Ohio. What happens is, of the 7 proponent testimonies in favor of the legislation, of those 7, only 7, 5 were from out-of-state dark money groups. They would come in, and for example, Michael Lucci of State Armor, we talked about him a little bit in the last interview. He came in and he said, hey, I'm from Ohio, because he's also from Ohio, Youngstown, I believe. He said, I was in Ohio over the weekend, went to my old elementary school, and there was a camera there. It was a tank camera, and the schoolyard is wired right back into the CCP. That's what he said. I'm paraphrasing. It's in his spoken testimony, not in his written testimony. But he doesn't offer any proof. How does he know that it's wired right back to the CCP? And further, why would the CCP want to watch a bunch of 7-year-olds playing in a schoolyard? You see what I'm saying? That is the type of evidence that they come up with. They'll throw it up, they'll offer no proof, and then they'll barnstorm across the other legislatures across the country saying the same stuff, right? Or they'll sensationalize something. And I don't mean to go down a goat path here, but I feel like this is really important. They'll sensationalize anything. In that testimony that day, I was there, Vincent was there. They came in, and one of the folks from State Armor said, oh, Vincent Wang is leading a United Front thing. He's in a picture. The night before, it was Wess Miller and Vincent Wang are leading some United Front group. I mean, it's malarkey. James, it's simply, they are offering no proof. And in fact, as we discussed in the last one, if you go back, you take any piece of this legislation from across the country and you retroactively apply it, and we'll ask the legislators this: which national security breach or incident would this legislature, had it been enacted previously, which would it have prevented? Not one legislator in any of the states can give us an example.
Sounds like quite a stretch of imagination. So, Vincent, you have fought and won. What do they say to you when you ask them to name factual cases of a CCP intrusion, agents, spies? What do they say?
They offered a no response. They had no proof. So far in the state of Ohio, there was no documented incidents of Chinese or American spying at all. So in fact, a few years back, Ohio suffered a historical scandal of like electric power plant bailout. They try to use Red Scare to frighten lawmakers and regular Ohio residents into supporting those bailout bill. That turned out to be the scandal by a former, by the then Speaker of the House, who got bribed from the supporters of the bill to make it into a piece of legislation. So that is the only instance we heard about Chinese spying. So as far as the Ohio House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88 is concerned, they have never offered any tinkling of evidence about Chinese spying at all, but they still use that as a guise to peddle this bill, try to get it passed. So we question them. We encourage lawmakers to engage in evidence-based lawmaking instead of based on conspiracy theories. We said, let's look at what's the problem. I heard Wess Miller did talk about it, right? They manufactured a bill based on a false narrative about the national security. They had no evidence. There's no issue. There's no issue they can solve, right? So far, we asked them, nobody offer any evidence. They just keep like repeating the conspiracy theories about CCP infiltration in Ohio. So a lot of people were deep rooted in these Red Scare theories. So they believe in themselves. So we try to bring them back to the earth to see how we can discuss based on the evidence and really do things beneficial for the American public, for the Ohio residents. And really, they are funded by taxpayer money to do their work, right? They really need to think about how they can utilize all this time to really serve the American people. So we need to just continue engaging with the lawmakers to make sure they are grounded into serving the Ohio public.
Sounds like these bills are intended or knowingly or unknowingly to stop or to West's point, could have prevented any of the bad guys doing evil things on American soil. Now I want to switch gear to talk about the community. Some see the Chinese community with the too few voices, like you gentlemen, that are strong, loud, united, and articulate enough to be heard by the public and legislators to explain, to clarify, to debunk the misperceptions and the distortions. It can also be fraught among Chinese folks. So we see two faces here. One has no issue with China out there and Chinese people living here, and all is well. It's all a one big happy family. And the other blames things on China's overbearing influence in this country and the Chinese people living here. And so we must fight those intruders. There's hardly a clear and united message here. And overall, we're not heard or seen by members of the public. Some call us the invisible minority, a model minority and invisible minority. So Vincent, what do you see that makes it challenging, especially for Chinese in America, to communicate politically? Is it language, culture, political understanding, familiarity, settling down and fitting in local lives, mentally and emotionally? What? What makes it so challenging?
I think it's all of the above. I think, first of all, I think a lot of Chinese immigrants right now around our age, maybe even younger, those tended to be from mainland China, so they were educated in China, grew up there, and most people they did not have the amount of exposure into politics, and a lot of people think that is kind of hard topic. That's for the politicians to do. So they kind of carry that kind of thought and philosophy in the American society, which is encouraging American public to actively engage in civic affairs in terms of debating about the policy and also regulation and so forth. So I think there's some cultural and education background gap there. So that prevents a lot of Chinese immigrants to really to engage in this kind of discussions. And a lot of people in the meantime, they just thought, if I work hard, I pay taxes, I should receive similar amount of respect, and also people will think about us. But that is a little bit misguided because when you are not at the table, you tend to be on the menu, right? Especially in American politics. And if you don't speak up, people tend to not be able to think about your benefits and whether their policy making is going to have any negative impact on your community. That's why the nonprofit organizations I am helping with, we tend to try to encourage a lot of people to, if you are not into politics, why don't you show up at the community events, go to school events, go to church events, go to regular like other organizations events, just to show up and be seen and be heard. And gradually you will be able to get more exposure to be able to talk about politics. And that's why we have like public service internship programs, civic engagement programs, so people become more used to talking about politics. So it takes some time for people to get over that curve.
The younger generation or generations, some of us came here old enough to be grandparents, they seem to be understanding the system better and appreciating that freedom is not free. And activism is a necessity. It's not an optional. You want to do it, you do it. You don't want, you can do without.
Freedom, yeah, definitely it's not free for sure. It takes a lot of work and also a lot of conscious participation to be able to establish a relatively free environment for everyone. So freedom or the state of being able to enjoy freedom requires everybody to really offer their share of participation. Sometimes you need to contribute your time. Sometimes you need to contribute your money to make the society work. So really, it takes a lot of work to be able to make the society work for everybody and make sure everybody is treated fairly and equally.
Land of the free, home of the brave. Wess, you have put yourself in the thick of things. From your standpoint, the effectiveness of Chinese people political communication, is it impeded by fluency in English, low sense of a commonwealth, lack of capabilities of working out differences and building a united front, conflict resolution? Which do you see as the standing in the way the most? That's part one.
Mm-hmm.
Part two, in this battle in particular, do you see a divided house? Does Chinese versus Chinese generate more doubt, fear, and confusion among the public at large?
So to part one of your question, I mean, I think Wenquei hit the nail on the head with what his answer.
Okay.
I'll also say that many in the community have been conditioned to believe that if you work hard, you pay your taxes, you keep your head down, you will be shielded from the politics. And I think there's a overarching sense of, avoiding conflict, but that silence is exactly what is being exploited. It's difficult to communicate that in the American political system, silence is often interpreted as consent. So there's a struggle to shift the mindset from I'm a guest who should be grateful to be here to I'm a U.S. citizen who has the right to shape this country. Making that transition from being a spectator to a stakeholder is the biggest hurdle, right? And I also think that there's a sense of among the immigrant community where they come from environments where engaging with the government, especially in an oppositional way, is very dangerous. You could argue that is happening here too.
So they want to be taken care of. They deserve to be. They think they deserve to be taken care of. That's it. America is a free country. America is a beautiful, great, all human rights and everything. Without realizing, you have to constantly fight for it and defend yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, They think that if they look the other way, if they stay invisible, they'll remain safe. But the irony, of course, and this is kind of preaching to the choir to the two of you, but is that in a democracy, the only way to be safe is to be visible, organized, active. And we have to help our broader immigrant community understand that looking the other way is not a safety strategy. It is a vulnerability.
So when bad guys take over, no one's safe, really.
Correct. Yeah. And
That's
the
correct.
bad guys, as you mentioned, this is calculated. They know that there's going to be some infighting in the immigrant communities, and that a lot of folks just aren't going to speak out. They know this.
Divide and conquer.
Absolutely. We're definitely deep into the division stage right now, have been for a few years.
So the second part of my question, does Chinese versus Chinese help to generate more doubt, fear, and confusion among the public at large, the perception?
Absolutely.
You guys are not united. You guys, are against each other, and it's your problem. Fix your house first.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen quite a bit of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that not just the against part, and also sometimes it's just in response or in action that cause some friction among the community as well, kind of slow down our momentum. So I can see that HB1 and Senate Bill 88 really helped rallying community members of different political spectrum to really to get together to speak in unison against these bills. That kind of it is silver lining of this bad situation against our community. Definitely, I can see that there's a lot of work that needs to be done so our community members can be more united and also hearing from each other and supporting each other as well. And also just quickly follow up to build on what Wess said. So these bad bills, the bad guys, they try to target to one group among the immigrant communities, right, from different backgrounds. And if they are successful, they are going to target the next one. And if they are more successful, they will target the rest of the group or even other broadly marginalized group. So that's why it is super important for everyone to speak up, not just the people who are directly impacted. So that is the point we try to make to our community members, and also we try to make across our community with other groups as well. That's why we are saying that it's very important to build a partnership and an allyship to get everybody rally behind the opposition against these bad bills.
The three community leaders I spoke with raised issues about Chinese in America unwilling to be involved. Meantime, the community has little political presence, representation, and influential power. Vincent, you have done a lot. What do you see as the most important, most critical needed to be done to get more people in the community to listen and participate in order to build a real critical mass?
So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And first of all, we can do more in terms of communicating, in terms of messaging about the problem with all these bills that is more direct to the community members. And also in that process, we need to educate the community about the more broader participation in the American society, rather it's just engaging with your neighbors or parents in the school and so forth so you they can see you and they can hear you. Then at the time that you need their support, then it's easier for you to communicate and also to get support. In the meantime, also we want to continue to build our political power. That means we need to encourage everybody who are eligible to get registered to be a voter. And also when you are a registered voter, really try to do some study about the political candidates, about the issues on the ballot, and also cast your vote, turn out to vote.
Vote.
So that is very important to engage in like civic affairs.
Wess, you have advised people to stand ground against bullying and have a clearer sense of belonging or citizenship, like you yourself have done in the past years or months. Why is it particularly important to encourage Chinese people in this country to stand up and work together in defending themselves? Or you've talked to various people, but you are in this battle, in this struggle for family and personal reasons. How do you compare? Why is it more critical to encourage Chinese people to do so?
Well, I mean, the elephant in the room is the legislation that's popping up at what did Vincent say? 28 legislatures across the country. Some sort of anti-Asian legislation. At least one piece of legislation had been introduced. I mean, the time is now. You have to stand up, right? And I'm talking about standing up legally, right? Exercising your First Amendment right, free speech, right to peaceful demonstration, right? And then vote, participate. We're seeing about a 1% community engagement. Of course, state by state, it differs a bit. The community engagement in Ohio is pretty strong, but I think on average, and it's somewhere around 1%, maybe a little bit less. We need more engagement than that. I'm not just speaking to the Asian American community. I'm speaking to the American community, all of us. We need to speak up. You look at No Kings protests that are popping up every few months across the country. You're seeing 6, 7, 8, 9 million people come out. That's great. That's what we should be seeing, right? You have a voice, speak, donate, talk to your candidates. I want to add one more piece that hopefully by now a lot of people know this, right? We've all got, the United States has a president, right? For all of us are represented by him. No matter who you are, if you live in the United States, you have a governor. You can go to the governor's office. You have a state legislature, senator, and representative from the state house, right, representing you. You've got a city council. You've got a school board. You've got a mayor, right? There are plenty of folks that their job is to talk to you, their constituents. Talk to them.
Those things you mentioned, those things to do you mentioned, it seems that whether one is born here or came as a student, immigrant, whatever, as long as you call America home, as long as you become a member of the public, the people, we the people, when the country is in trouble, these things you mentioned are not only regular, normal parts of American life, is necessary, critical parts of American life. If we don't stand up and defend, if we don't act, nobody else is. We cannot sit here and just wait for things to happen. Things don't happen unless we stand up and push back. Oliver Ma worked for years for NAACP, defending Latino immigrant families, building coalitions across cultural and racial lines, and something, Wess, you have advised pointedly last time. Is NAACP involved in this anti-Chinese exclusion effort? What civil rights groups have you been talking to? What would be better ways of engaging, of gaining support from other civil rights groups?
Let me let Vincent answer that one about the civil rights groups that are involved. I think he'd be better suited to answer that.
Yeah, Vincent, what's success stories and lessons?
I can start on the West, and you can chime in. So, in Ohio, to West's point earlier, so we were very conscious about building partnership and allyship, and not just among our community members, and also with other groups. So we reach out to like Latino groups and WACP, the union, and ACLU, and so forth. So Common Cause in Ohio, they are pretty supportive of our work. They are more like civil rights group, ACLU, Asian American Civil Liberty Union, and they are very supportive, and they were actively engaged in our effort. And also we have national groups like Asian American Advancing Justice, National Asian Pacific American Bar Association, Asian American Legal Defense Education Fund, and also Chinese American Legal Defense Association as well. So we have a lot of all these different partner groups. They were monitoring the progress we're making. They provide advice behind the scene. And also some of the groups in Ohio, they participate in our grassroots efforts as well to speak up and also raise awareness. So I can see that we need to continue to talk to all these groups, especially different ethnicity groups, to make sure they are aware of the issues and also aware of the consequences of those issues, and pull more weight into this. Obviously, there are so many anti-immigrant bills going on. So on the flip side, our community members, we also need to be informed of other bills that is targeting other community members. And we need to pull our weight in supporting them as well. So that way we can continue building a more positive kind of environment, so we can support each other, that we are all stronger when we are acting together.
Fair is fair. We all in this together.
That was very well said, Vincent. Just would like to add to his point that was so eloquent. We need to stop asking for support as an Asian American issue and start offering support as a civil rights issue. That means intersectionality, right? For too long, we've existed in our own silo, and the way to gain support is to show up for their fights first. When we show that we're willing to stand on the front lines with Black, Latino, and other marginalized communities on issues that affect them, like voting rights, housing discrimination, labor protections, we build the political capital we need. We can't expect other groups to carry our water if we haven't been reliable allies in their struggles. It's about building a coalition of shared values, not just a transactional request for help.
Excellent point. I hope to see that happen more. Now, the American public, China's international reputation has gotten higher than the US under Trump, believe it or not. But a clear majority of Americans still see China as a competitor and adversarial nation, a threat. Meantime, Asians, including Chinese voters, have seen the fastest growth as a voting bloc in elections up and down the coastline and everywhere in all states. Vincent, how can that be a leverage? They may not care that much about you, your livelihood, but they want your vote. Asian votes matter, right?
That's exactly right. We can see that, first of all, based on the census, we can see Asian Americans are the fastest growing ethnic group in the US and also in Ohio as well. So in the meantime, we want to, that's why we talk about engaging in civic affairs, and we encourage people to register to vote and also to really turn out to vote, regardless what party you support or oppose, right? Regardless of what issues you care most. You do some study and go to the election polling locations, cast your vote. Then gradually, when people see you actively participating, the politicians will take note of it. They know there's a big chunk of Asian American voters there. They need to cater to the struggles, to the benefits of these voters. So when they debate or introduce policies, they will consider this. Otherwise, if you don't have a voice, you're invisible. Sometimes it's not on purpose that they want to harm you. Sometimes they just because there are so many priorities. If you don't show up, they tend to not be able to really consider all your benefits, your struggles holistically. So I think it's very important. And I can see that in the past 10 years, the participation in civic affairs in Ohio and nationwide has been increasing among Asian population and even among Chinese American population. So I can see it is a positive trend, but we can do even better and to really to engage conversations with our friends, our neighbors, co-workers, fellow volunteers, and so forth to really make ourselves even more visible. So definitely we need to continue doing that and also encourage more people to participate.
A remarkable thing happened in Georgia. The tiny Asian voting bloc was the tiebreaker for the presidential election, for the two senatorial. They basically tipped the balance. It's just remarkable, and there's much to be done. Wess, can you see this becoming a campaign issue, namely leveraging collective voting power? Have you worked with Gene Wu in Texas? I recently read about him.
Gene Wu is a great friend to myself, to Vincent, to not only the Asian American community, but in my opinion, to America. He embodies civil rights and the values that built America.
Can these bills become a campaign issue?
Absolutely. I think they are already campaign issues. I mean, we've seen some of the folks that sponsored similar legislation in other states have already been primaried. You know, when you lose your primary race, and some of the detractors who were fans of these folks at one point have said, you know, things along the lines of, you know, I want a legislator that's going to focus on real legislation that is impacting us today, like infrastructure, the economy, you know, soaring prices, inflation, all of that, right? I've heard people say, why are we focused on a piece of legislation like this that is a manufactured solution to a problem that doesn't exist? Now, listen, everybody that I've met in all of the states is interested in national security, right? Nobody that I've met wants the CCP here, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about legislation that is hurting people who are here legally, contributing to America and aligning to American values. So to answer your question, yes, I do believe that this the last couple of years of introducing this legislation across the country is causing concerns amongst the broader American voter base.
What more can be done above and beyond protesting this type of discrimination? What more should we be doing to better assure the American public that the Chinese people living in this nation are as American as anybody else, to Wess's point, and that our loyalty mustn't be questioned to the Constitution, to the American ideals, to the American way of life, and we're not a threat. What more can be done, you know, above and beyond all that? And in addition to what we have covered here?
In terms of what more can be done, I mean, we're doing it right now, talking about it, engaging. Dialogue is something there's not enough dialogue in the United States right now, right? There's the loud voices are drawing all the air in the room, right? We need to talk. We need to talk with not just the folks that we see eye to eye with. We need to talk across the board, right? Communities are divided right now. Corporations are divided. There's so much of this sensationalism and identity politics.
Polarization.
Yeah, polarization, all of the above. We just need to get back to talking.
Wess said it very well. We just need to continue doing the work we are doing. So we, as far as the House Bill 1 and the Senate Bill 88, these two bills regarding targeting the Chinese American community, right? So we have a steering committee that convenes every other week. So during regular times and when there is a urgent situation, we kind of convene on an ad hoc basis so we can respond to the urgency and also take actions quickly. So we keep talking about the messaging. So we need to continue to articulate the issues harming our community members and also the negative consequences to the American society overall. So we need to continue engaging community members, educate them. We just don't have enough community members who are informed. So we need to continue doing that. And also reaching out to broader society, educate the public, and also we need to reach out to the major employers to alarm them about the potential consequences. And also continue outreach with the legislators. A lot of legislators, they do not spend enough time on this, and we want to educate them as well, even among the community members, and also obviously chamber groups, civil rights groups. So all of this, we need to continue the dialogue, and also beyond these two bills, we need to also stay informed and actually reach out to other groups, their priority bills to establish understanding what are the issues, how we can help, right? How do we kind of make our bond stronger so we can really fight together for justice for everybody and equal rights for all. Beyond this, we talk about civic engagement, the political engagement. We need to continue doing that. You talk about the Oliver Marr and also Jin Wu, right? These are excellent examples of Chinese Americans participating in the civic discourse of this country. And actually, Congresswoman Judy Chu, the first Chinese American woman elected to Congress, she articulated very well. We need to, and we are, the margin of victory in many American elections. Like you talk about Georgia and also the country overall. Even in Ohio, if you look at the data of the 2018 election of the governor, so our current governor, Mike DeWine, so he won the election by less than 3%. So if all the Asian Americans participating in one party or another in terms of voting, so we could have impacted the governor race. That's how important, how impactful of civic engagement of our community members are. So we need to continue encouraging community members to do that. And in the meantime, we also want to manage the messaging and our participation well, so that we don't want any or either of the political parties to take granted our votes. So we want to let them know that we care about our community members, and also we care and treasure our votes. So those are important rights and responsibilities. We do not abide by one party or another. We really care about the society, care about the community. So our votes are not to be taken for granted.
they have to earn the trust and earn the votes. Nothing's more American than this. And it's just part of the Americanization, and younger generations are stepping up to the plate. So engage, support, and speak loud and clear. This is all wrong. It's nonsense. It helps nobody. It hurts the American public. It weakens American national security. Stop it. Stop it. So again, finally to both of you, where do you see these made up xenophobic happenings headed? Still going strong, over the peak, running low on steam, or do you see this lingering around for some time, like months, years, even longer?
Well, it all depends on how the greater American population responds. At the local level, the community, the state level, if we don't speak out, it's going to continue to worsen. The McCarthyism 2.0 is what we are in right now. It's going to continue to worsen. We need to continue talking, and we need to continue having everyone in our orbit we know get involved in the dialogue, or it is going to get worse. And the midterm elections coming up here in just under 5 months now are critical. We've got to turn out strong, right? And it's not to Vincent's point, it's not just about a Democrat or Republican issue. We're talking about an American issue. All Americans, those who look like me, those who look like you, should be concerned about this just ridiculous legislation that is emerging. When we have real national security threats, why are we dealing with something that does nothing to solve or to make us safer nationally? We need to speak up. We need to let legislators know, hey, if you're not going to do the job that you were elected to do, which was to represent the people, then we'll find other people to represent.
My favorite is we must stop the thievery at the highest level.
Right. They work for us. We don't work for them.
And they're stealing from us. They lie, cheat, and steal. We got to stop that.
And they're stealing time from us and resources too. Something I don't hear enough people talking about. But like our dear friend Yuan Xin said in the March 17 testimony, it was 18 degrees there Fahrenheit that day. It was frigid. And over the weekend, there were several power outages in Ohio over that weekend, which would have been like March 14th and 15th. A lot of people were without power, and it was 15 degrees below zero. And there's another hearing, a fourth hearing about this ridiculous bill that is a political football, is all that it is. It's a political football. Okay. And all of these states, I know I'm getting here. Let me get a little energized here since it's the last question. In all of these states, we're hearing the same BS. It's going to make us safer. Nobody can explain how it's going to make us safer. But I'll tell you this, it's costing taxpayers, citizens, Americans, time and money every minute, right? There's only 86,400 seconds in a day, right? So every second that these legislators consider this legislation they're taking away from the people. When we have a growing list of actual issues, right? Issues with the infrastructure, with the power grid, not just in Ohio, across. We're running out of water in half of the United States right now. We've got division everywhere. The economy is like a runaway train. Who knows what's going to happen? And we continue to have first, second, third, fourth hearing on these bills that do nothing for us. If you're elected, and this is what you're going to do when you're elected to represent people, it's time to replace you.
Yeah, I totally agree. So these people, these legislators, they kind of introduce these bills without any research, without any study. They just take whatever the model bill provided by the dark money group. They thought that they can score some political points, but they didn't realize those are very hollow and they do not solve any problem. they have not identified what's the problem in the first place. They just keep doing all these hearings, and they are every minute they spend on the hearings and also off the hearing working on this bill. So they are kind of wasting the taxpayer funded resources, and also the citizens who participate in the hearings. They have to take their time off from their work to do that. So this is a wasting of the public resources and harming the economy. So this needs to be stopped. And also you both of you said very well about the Chinese Exclusion Act and also alien land bills over 100 years ago, targeting the Chinese immigrants, targeting the Japanese immigrants, targeting Jewish Americans. So I can see after 100 years, we still see this kind of bills. As recently as last month, in the Maryland House, some lawmakers were attacking Delegate Chao Wu, who is of Chinese heritage. They kind of attacked him as a Chinese spy. Can you believe that? As fellow lawmakers, they should know much better. I'm glad the Maryland House condemned this rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
So that reminded us. So we need to stay vigilant all the time, and this kind of hate speech and anti-immigrant speech come and go. Sometimes it's more intense. Sometimes it's less. But we need to stay vigilant and also stay engaged. And we should respond quickly when we see this. And definitely it is an ongoing topic. And also we need to continue to strengthen our community in terms of like engagement, in terms of civic participation, so we can be heard more, we can see more, and they can see our power, and hopefully this kind of rhetoric and also this behavior will be less.
Well, it sounds like the dark side of human nature never is going to go away. I appreciate, Wes, your indignation. There is a zero sum here. We all have better things to do, and better things to talk about, to focus on. And the hogging the time and the public resources, the everything, and the distraction, the diversion, all that stuff, it's all absurd, and it's got to stop. Well, gentlemen, this has shed a great deal of new light, big time. Keep up the great work. Again, thank you both very, very much.
It's been an honor. Thanks for your time. James, Vincent, always great to see you, brother.
Thank you, James. Thanks, Wes.
And thanks for watching and listening. Please give us your thoughts. If you find this helpful, share with others and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Goodbye and good luck.